Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to this deep dive, tailored just for you.
Glad to be here.
Today we're diving into a really specific corner of medical history. It's drawn straight from William Boericke's Homeopathic Materia Medica.
A classic text.
Exactly. And our source material today zooms in on just one remedy, ammonium iodatum.
You might also see it listed as iodide of ammonia or ammonium jodatum, depending on the text.
Right. And our mission really is just to pull out what this specific source tells us about its uses, its characteristics.
Yeah, not the whole story maybe, but what Boericke highlighted.
Precisely. So what's the starting point in Boericke for this one?
Well, what's really interesting about these old materia medicas like Boericke's is how they operate. They're like encyclopedias, detailing symptoms for each remedy.
Trying to guide practitioners.
Exactly, giving very specific signposts. And for ammonium iodatum here, the first key thing it says is that it's indicated when iodine remedies, which you might think are similar, haven't quite finished the job.
Okay. So not the first choice, maybe.
Or specifically for when iodine only brought partial relief. That's the trigger.
That's a fascinating distinction right off the bat. It's like, try this if that related thing didn't fully work.
Yeah.
So where does Boericke say it's helpful after that partial iodine response?
It points to a few key areas, mostly respiratory stuff.
Okay.
It mentions laryngitis and bronchitis. And it particularly highlights catarrhal pneumonia.
Catarrhal. So inflammation with mucus.
Yeah, basically. And it also lists edema of the lungs, but again, the context is key. Iodine was tried, and it only helped partially with these lung and airway issues.
Got it. So lung problems, but with that specific history of iodine not being quite enough. But the source goes further, doesn't it? I remember some kind of striking head symptoms listed too.
Oh, definitely. They are quite specific. Under the head section, it lists a dull headache.
Just the dull headaches.
Well, it adds a note, especially in young people.
Okay, that's more specific.
And it describes the face. This is quite something. It says the face has a stupid, heavy look.
Wow. Stupid, heavy look. That's a very vivid language for a medical text. Really paints a picture.
It certainly does. And the list goes on. Vertigo is mentioned. Dizziness. And interestingly, it also includes Meniere's disease under these head symptoms.
So it's this whole package. A dull headache, maybe in younger folks, that distinct facial look, dizziness, and even something like Meniere's. That's a pretty diverse set of symptoms alongside the lung issue.
It really is.
Does the source give any clues about, how it was actually prepared or used back then, dosage?
Yes, it does get down to that level. According to Boericke's text, the recommended dose is the second and third trituration.
Okay, second and third trituration. Now, for anyone listening who isn't deep into this system, what does that typically mean? How is it made?
Right, good question. So trituration is basically a process. You grind the substance, the raw material, with a powder like lactose.
Okay, grinding it down.
And then you dilute it step by step.
Okay.
The second, that's often written as 2x, and the third, or 3x, these are generally seen as lower potencies in homeopathy.
Lower potencies, meaning?
Well, compared to higher numbers like 30C or 200C, some practitioners feel these lower potencies might act more on the sort of physical, local symptoms.
Interesting. So even the preparation level is specified. And I think I saw it suggest comparing it to another remedy, too.
It does, yeah. The source suggests comparing ammonium iodatum to ammonium tartaricum.
Okay. And why that comparison?
It gives a specific pointer for ammonium tartaricum.
Right.
It's noted for a dry, hacking cough that comes on after every cold.
Okay. So another layer of specificity.
Exactly.
And this is where it all kind of clicks together, isn't it? Why these sources are so incredibly detailed. What Boericke is doing here with ammonium iodatum is creating this very specific profile. Respiratory issues and these particular head symptoms, but crucially, when iodine didn't work, and presenting with these accompanying signs, the headache type, that facial look, the vertigo, and even a suggested potency range.
Right. And that comparison to ammonium tartaricum just underlines it further. It's all about finding the exact match. Not just any cough remedy, but one for a dry, hacking cough after colds, which is different from the ammonium iodatum picture.
So if we zoom out, what does this tell us about the bigger picture of these materia medicas?
Well, I think it shows that this level of detail, this differentiation, is really fundamental to how they work. They are meticulously trying to map substances to very specific symptom patterns, triggers, even patient characteristics like age or how they responded to other remedies.
It's like creating a highly granular map.
Exactly. It shows this intense effort, based on observation presumably, to distinguish remedies, believing each has its own unique pattern of effects.
So wrapping this up, what's the takeaway here? This peek into Boericke gives us a very specific snapshot of ammonium iodatum. It's not presented as some broad cure-all.
Definitely not.
It's shown as having this highly defined role, especially in those respiratory cases where iodine fell short, and linked to that distinct cluster of head imbalance issues, right down to the look on someone's face and even dosage suggestions, at least in this historical context.
It really hammers home the level of specificity these texts were aiming for.
Yeah, it really does.
And this brings up a really interesting question for you, the listener, to think about. With these incredibly fine distinctions drawn between remedies and texts like Boericke's, how exactly were these precise symptom profiles and these differentiators originally figured out and, I suppose, validated within this system over time? It's quite a complex process to even imagine.
A very good question to ponder.